Okay, so why do we need to care for ourselves? If you look at it, remember, I would assume most of us have taken planes before, and the first thing in safety is when the pressure drops, the air mask drops, you secure the mask on yourself first before you help others. Remember this theory, this very important rule, because you fail already how to secure masks on other people. So you must secure on yourself, and this is the basic rule of self-care. We cannot feel others when we are depleted. If we are the legs of a table, you have to be sturdy, put weight on it. You are that leg. You need to be stable. Okay? What happens if you are depleted? You may find yourself when you're very stretched, you can get very irritable. You can even get very impatient. So, and when your loved one asks you a simple question, you snap at them. How are they going to feel? They may think that they are burdening you, that you are really stretched, they don't want to tell you something. So that's why we cannot be depleted. So what can we do to take care of ourselves? I think first is to recognize that it's okay to feel stress. You're not superhuman, nobody is superhuman. All of us are normal human beings. We all feel stress in varying degrees. I remember when we were doing interviews just out of COVID, a lot of the interviewer always ask, so how are you feeling? They expect people to ask, like us to say, oh, we're fine. I say, no, we're tired. Because it's important to acknowledge what we are feeling. Then we can deal with the problem. If we keep denying, no, I'm not tired, I'm okay. Then how to deal with it? Because if you tell people you're okay, people will assume you're okay. And they'll keep giving you work. Then after you get more irritable, say, why are you giving me so much work? You have to learn to tell them, wait, I'm very stretched now, I really can't do this. And it's okay to say those things, okay? So once we acknowledge the situation, we can see the reality and then we can do something about it. And we can, I like this sentence, we can turn suffering we can't cope into pain we can cope. So we're not saying to deny that you're in pain or you're suffering, but we can change it to something that is manageable. And this acknowledgement takes a lot of self-compassion and bravery. It's not easy, especially in Asian countries, to admit that I really can't do this. I'm very, very tired. I'm very stressed. Because sometimes when we say that, we are worried people are judging us. Especially in healthcare workers, especially for psychologists. If we tell people, no, I'm stressed, people say, you're psychologist, what? Go and deal with yourself, lor. We're humans, what? So it's necessary to normalize talking about emotions and to be self-compassionate. So what it means here is, you see the thing, I acknowledge that this situation and my feelings are a lot to handle now. I can self-soothe and help myself feel better. So we make it into something we can manage and action. Okay, a lot of you are somewhat near my generation. The younger people, I realize they can let the battery go completely flat. So how many of you, just a show of hands, how many of you will keep your phone completely charged all the time? 1, 2, no. How many will let it go to 80%? 15%? How many let it go to 10% then you charge? Wow. Not very good idea. Actually, even to optimize your phone battery, you should charge it not at 100, not to 100. Actually, every time it reaches, keep it to about 80. That's what the telco companies teach. But 10%, if you let your phone go all the way there, I wonder what you let your body and mind go to. Why? Because if you let it go too low, think of it, how long does it take to recharge it to a usable number again? Very fast. But sometimes supercharging the phone like that can also spoil it. Same with humans. So So basically what I'm saying is don't let your energy level drop until that is so low that you need a very long recovery time. Okay, when you are almost there already, learn to recognize the symptoms, learn to understand your body and your emotions. So it's important to plan for breaks. As I know, as caregivers, it's very hard to plan for breaks because your caregiver is with you 24/7. For work, you can after 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, switch off, go home. But caregiving cannot. Caregiving, you're going to be 24/7 on duty or call. So how? You still have to try to find time to plan. I know of some caregivers, they plan their toilet breaks and they have very long toilet breaks. Not that they're actually doing any business in there, but that's probably the only time they can have sanctuary in a quiet area that nobody, not say nobody lah. If you have very young kids or pets, they will keep at the door there waiting for you to come out lah. But it is one of the rare places where you can just shut off everything lah. Okay, so try to plan some breaks away from your work and commitments and to recharge your battery. Okay, it need not be very big break. It could just be, okay, I am really very stretched. I need to take a 10 minutes break. I'll get a hot cup of tea. I'll sit outside, just sip my tea for a while. Sometimes that 10 minutes can work wonders. Even for sleep deprived people, we always say it's not catching up on long sleep, but it's actually some of the power naps that's important. It's the 20 minutes kind of power nap that's better than you sleep 2-3 hours, then your whole sleep cycle gets screwed up. So short breaks could be more manageable if you're caregiving, because taking long breaks, you then worry about your family member, then what to do. So the shorter break tend to be okay. Same with if you're planning a vacation. Some of us, long vacations, wow, sound very short, right? For me, not really. I get very worried when I come back, my email explode. So that may even give me a lot of stress. Or the night before, I like shelve all my work so that I can go on my holiday. So I actually like the middle range kind of break, not too long, not too short. But again, if you can go away for half a day to maybe, now can go to Bintan, right? Go get a massage there, go JB, that kind of thing. If you can't go away for long, because I know sometimes arrangements for caregiving could be a headache lah. Okay? So do some recreational, like today I'm going to learn latte art painting. So one of the ways I survive so long is I have a lot of hobbies. My life outside of work is very strong. So my identity is not my work. My job is a psychologist, but my whole identity doesn't rely on me being a psychologist. My interests are like 100 ones, and that's what keeps me going, keeps my brain in a healthy state. So having recreational activities and hobbies of your own that's not always doing with a loved one is actually important. It's actually going to help you to recharge. And why recreational activity? Especially creative arts, because you use another part of your brain that you don't normally use when you're working. When I was going through my PhD period, I almost want to kill people because the PhD is really causing permanent heat damage. That was no joke, okay? 7 years of my life, I don't know what happened to that. But I was juggling work and PhD at the same time. And I literally, all my annual leave, I would just take leave to come and write. I don't even go away on holiday. I didn't go away for 10 years because going on holiday means I cannot do my work. But what I do to also help my brain, that little break, is when I start the day, I actually start doodling. I doodle for 5-10 minutes and it kind of like resets my brain. So I do Zentangle, but there are different ways of doodling that you can take up. Zentangle calms me. It's maybe not for everybody, but it calms me. So when I do that, when I'm stuck with something, I practice that. It's 5 minutes at most. It actually clears my brain a little bit better. So consider having some kind of creative hobby. It can be crocheting, it can be painting, it can be doodling, batik art, anything. So baking. People say baking is not really creative. It is. If you really decorate everything, it can be very creative. You plate the food nicely, it's also very creative. So have something to recharge you, to refill you. And of course, feeding yourself properly, taking care. I know some, especially when parents of young kids, they tend to just eat whatever the kids leave left over. A lot of family members do that, not just young kids. But it's also important to feed yourself and take care of yourself properly, because if you're not properly taking proper nutrition, you may actually also develop medical issues. If you skip too much meals, if you get gastrics and things like that. And also adequate water. A lot of people don't drink enough water. Some of the professions, I know this perpetual job hazard is teachers. They never drink enough water, then they always got urinary tract infection because they don't drink enough water. Okay? If you're caregiving, sometimes you just take care of your loved ones so much that you forgot. So that's why it's important to plan your meals properly. You can use your meal time as a break time also. You can do two things in one. And you also make sure you have even water break. I do teach some of my patients who's very anxious when they, make yourself a hot cup of water or peppermint tea, then slowly sip it. The act of sipping a hot cup of tea as you blow, you're actually doing breathing. And when you sip, you calm yourself down. So that is very useful. Cold water cannot, you just gulp, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so you can use some of these. And of course, it's okay to treat ourselves with something that we really like once in a while. Splurge on a nice cake. I know Cedric Godot now has a cake $20 over, so I can't bring myself to buy it. But buying something nice that you really long for, that you want to eat, it doesn't have to be expensive. It's also a way of taking care of yourself. But I tell people this is treat, not every day. Because every day also wrong, but then it becomes stress eating. So treats is sometimes food. You must, everyday food, eat healthily, okay? Two different things. Another thing that is super important, and Singaporeans are perpetually sleep deprived. Okay, you may wonder why there's a QR code. I put QR codes there because there are videos that you can, maybe you can use the camera, scan the QR code. You can keep the videos. So these are videos we curate from YouTube. So we know that the information is legit. Okay? So there's a series of videos. I will show you the QR code so you can scan and keep it, then you can use it. Okay? So this particular video is on sleep hygiene. So sleep is very important to us. Singaporeans are really known as the world's most sleep deprived country. There's a proven fact. I don't know why we're so sleep deprived, but yeah, we're sleep deprived. It's important. Sleep is the time where our body heals, our brain heals. So if you are perpetually sleep deprived, you can actually be at risk of, studies have shown that doctors on call who are very sleep deprived are akin to being drunk, because that's how bad you can perform if you are sleep deprived. It's almost like you have drank a lot of alcohol and being drunk. So if you're perpetually lack of sleep, you may not be very optimal in your own performance. So some of the good sleep hygienes are keeping a consistent sleep schedule. Some of us are so regular with our sleep time that our body naturally wakes up. My body naturally wakes up at 6, regardless weekend or whatever. Sometimes I go on holiday, I wake up at 6, I'm like, but I learned to go back to sleep on weekends lah. But normally, I will wake up before my alarm clock goes. So regardless what time I sleep, I will wake up at that time. So having a consistent schedule actually trains your body into that mode. Keeping our room quiet and dark enough, removing all electronic devices from the bedroom. I don't recommend TVs in bedroom. It's a big no-no, but I know our flats are not exactly very big these days, so but as much as you can, because there are beta waves coming from the TV. Yeah, if you feel like, oh, but watching shows relaxes me, can watch outside, then come back to the room and sleep. Okay? Avoid large meals, caffeine, alcohol before bedtime. Some of the other things is use the bed for sleep only. Don't go and read and play games like that on the bed, because your body then doesn't recognize that, are you sleeping or what are you doing? So this is what we call conditioning. I only use my bed for sleep. And the moment my head touches the pillow, I'm gone. My brain just knows that I'm supposed to sleep at that time. Some say, but I like to do things in my room or my bed. Can sit on the floor. You can sit on the floor, finish reading a book, then you crawl up to your bed. Get a nice comfortable cushion put on the floor. Okay? You may think, no, can what? I say there's a lot of theory that goes into conditioning lah. Conditioning is when you do something repeatedly, then you automatically develop a response. And sometimes you do that without even remembering. So if some of you who drive, you may take that same route home so frequently that you don't even think when you drive that route anymore. You go into this auto mode. Yeah, so that's conditioning. Okay? That's what athletes do. So we train so frequently until everything comes naturally. And that one comes through training, it doesn't come through any other way. So same with your sleep pattern. Exercise. This is super important because no medication, no vitamin can lessen the tension in your muscles. When we are tense, all our muscles all tighten up. Only exercise can uncoil a very coiled up spring. Okay? But when we talk about exercise, we are not asking everybody here to join a gym or go run on a treadmill. No. It's just increase your activity level. Take a break, go outside, go for a half an hour walk. It's not about how fast you walk, it's about going out. When you walk, you're stretching your body again. Your spine is being aligned again, because when we're sitting down, everything is compressed. So exercise can release a lot of tension. I remember one of my patients who is so tense, very anxious. She's in her 60s, 70s already now. She had a lot of sleep problem, insomnia, and she was very reliant on sleep medication. So when we spoke to her, I made recommendations for her to do walks. She started walking, but for her, because she's so anxious, she actually need to walk 1 hour at least. But her 1 hour is leisurely paced, not that fast. After now, she doesn't need the sleep medication, and she can sleep very, very well, back to normal. But she does need to exercise. So she will do all her walks, and for her age, her health, her posture, everything very nice. So exercise can do wonders for a lot of us. Some of you say exercise at home. Not the same. Go outside, get a bit of fresh air. Okay, if you really cannot leave the house for long hours, then go step outside the corridor at least you get some fresh air. In the room, very hard Okay. So it's all about relieving the tension. And because when I tell you, relax your muscle, you don't know how. But when you exercise, when you're moving, you're already relaxing the muscles. Okay? And then of course you get endorphins and you get all the good hormones kicking in as well. If you want to make it more fun, exercise with some friends. Just throw some friends and go for walks. Also, one thing good is try out a new exercise, because when you try out a new exercise, you'll be super excited to keep going for classes. So that's another way to renew your interest in exercise. For me, that's what I did. So because when I studied overseas, when I came back, the routine in Singapore, I couldn't figure out how to do the exercise in Singapore again, because I was very used to exercising in Australia. And Singapore, the weather damn hot. So over there, I can run and do it. Don't feel that sweat. Come back, I was like, So I picked up a new sport, and that kept me going, and that started me excited about exercising again. So you can make it fun and you can make it enjoyable. You can try out as extraordinary as, something unusual. The more unusual, actually, the more excited you get. Yeah? So for me, I took up fencing. Yeah. That I still love that sport, because fencing is a sport that I need to use my brain a bit. But for me, I also came from a background of martial arts. I've been doing martial arts for more than 20 years. So fencing came naturally to me. But that got me all excited to go every day, every week I would look forward to it. I even sign up for more sessions. So those are things you can consider, okay? Now I'm looking for a new one, probably Japanese archery, so that will be fun again. Japanese archery, because it's a meditative art sport, it's very, very exciting, very interesting. I've learned kendo, I've learned quite a few things, so yes. Me time. It's important to schedule some me time. It's not being selfish. It's actually good to have me time to keep your sanity. My job requires me to listen to a lot of people's stories, problems. Not just my clinical job, I'm also head of department. I have to listen to a lot of my staff issues, manage conflicts. I'm also looking after the well-being of SGH and SingHealth. So I have to come up with plans, come up with things, and sometimes people knock on my door, say, hey, my department like this, how? So a lot of taking from me. I need to find things that can give back to me. For me, it's not necessary. You probably cannot tell I'm extremely introverted. Yeah. What it means doesn't mean that I'm shy, but it means my recharging is not socializing. My recharging is I retreat. So COVID was very good for me. I really, really love COVID. I'm sorry, but that solitude, that empty bus, empty train did wonders for me. So for me, my me time is I'll plan holidays on my own. I'll go to different countries, and if the country don't speak English, better still. It's very fun. Okay? So that's my own me time. And some of my me time, if I'm not able, like when during COVID I couldn't go overseas, then I will, for me, like I say at home, I was doing a lot of things. But if it's not COVID, I will go to museums, I go to art galleries, I'll just walk. Because that space in there allows my body, my mind to breathe. I don't know whether you understand, that whole breathing is a very different thing. Okay? Some people, I used to watch movies by myself also. I will go for meals by myself. Because going for movies with people, like, stop talking to me, I want to watch my show. People may say, it's very weird, very hard to do. Yeah, it is, but you try it once. So I actually converted quite a few of my friends to go on holiday on their own, especially the married ones. Once a year, they're like, bye, and then they ran off. It's for their sanity. They came back a lot more energized to do a lot more things. So it's scary, but it actually could also rejuvenate a lot of you. Of course, some of you who are extroverted, you need to connect, then it's different. Your me time may stress you out. So you must see how you recharge. Okay? And of course, share your stress. Find some trusted people. I know you have support. You make friends here, and some of these people here that have become your friends, and you can talk to them. Yeah, talk to your friends. Talk to people you can trust so that you can unload without censoring. Why I say that? Because when we speak, sometimes we censor so much. So you need to have a safe space where you can speak openly and freely. So that's one reason a lot of people actually see a therapist, because they know for sure that that's a safe space. But if you can't afford or you don't have the capacity in terms of time, then friends. And actually for a therapist, we always encourage, ultimately, it should be your friends. Our job is to make us obsolete so that you don't rely on us, you rely on your social network. Okay? So friends, colleagues, you don't have to bottle up. Your struggles are valid and you're not a burden. I know many caregivers keep thinking, I cannot say this, I will be a burden to others, I need to take on things. Cannot. A lot of healthcare workers have the same thought, so I always tell them, say rubbish lah. Yeah? Know your limits. We must review and know our limits. We cannot keep taking on responsibilities. So for people who don't know their limits, I actually recommend they do yoga. I know you may wonder why. I used to practice yoga until I hurt myself, then I no time already because I have to do a lot of rehab work. Yoga, a proper yoga teacher will actually teach you to recognize your limits. You're not going, you shouldn't stretch and compete with your fellow yoga practitioners. You should know when your body is not well, when you stretch, when you don't hold back. So that kind of awareness is important, and that kind of awareness, when you have it for physically, you will slowly start to have it mentally. So know when you are full, know when you cannot handle anything already, know that you say, okay, I have too much on my plate now, can I do this later, or can you give it to somebody, or can you come bring so and so to see the doctor, I really cannot take up any more time to do this. So ask for help, don't be afraid to do that. Sometimes our family member wants us to rely on them, but they don't know how to tell you. So it's actually good if you could reach out and get their help for you. Then, humor is important. Having a sense of humor really will make things a bit better. Those of us in medical, sometimes we have a very dark sense of humor. It can be quite dangerous. I know the outside people, you'll be like, why you all make fun of such things? But it's our way of coping, okay? Humor, when we laugh, we are also taking in oxygen, we are also activating some of the hormones, and these hormones can make us smile, can make us deal with life differently. So watch comedies, watch some happy movies that you can really make you feel good. Of course, humor may not work for everyone, okay? So you have to find what you need. I'm very weird, okay? I can tell you I'm very weird. So I don't relax with humor. I relax. Wanna guess with what? I love horror. I will come back. I need to watch a lot of horror shows, and it's not a slasher, it's actually supernatural, the ghost type. The more horror, the better. But got challenged now, nothing scares me already. I'm like, so now I watch a lot of horror, so I'm like, my heartbeat doesn't even go up. And I'm like, I can predict what's going to happen. So yes, I got very desensitized to horror, but yeah, for me that's relaxing. For whatever reason, so you have to also understand yourself and not judge yourself and find things that fit yourself. I have some people who like sad movies because when they cry, then they allow themselves to cry when they watch sad movies. So they will have their favorite show make them cry that. Then they can cry and release. Because if they cry, people will say, what's happening? But if they're watching the show and they cry, then they say, oh, the show, you know? It works for them. So those people will find sad shows when they need to have a cathartic cry. Yeah? So yes, humor, horror, sad shows. I cannot deal with all the romantic shows. I watch it, I'm like, what, don't show me, very big. So yes, I cannot. But horror does wonders for me. And if some of us have, if some of you here have got a faith, a religion, a lot of us do seek comfort in that. So having a strong spiritual belief does help to ground you. Because sometimes we surrender when it's beyond the human limits already. And we ask for divine help and intervention. Okay, so whichever faith, all the faith preaches the same thing. So you have to also be grounded in your own faith. Having faith and spirituality doesn't mean you go and pray every day or things, but it's that connection. Yeah, so having that strong connection can ground a person quite well. That's what we found also when we research people who are very resilient, are those with a very strong sense of faith and belief. Because that helped to tide them through a lot of things. Okay, so now, these are some ways you can regulate your emotions, because we are humans, when something happens, we react. Okay? So you can use this for yourself. I use this all the time. Like I said, there are times when I'm sitting in a clinic and my patient is just yelling at me non-stop. It's not about me. but when they tell things about it, they're just yelling at me, and it can get very heavy. Okay, I literally feel very heavy. The air in the room feels very strong and heavy. Or if they share a very, very horrific past story. So I need to shut it off for the next patient. If not, I carry it into my next clinic session. So that's why I do a lot of self-soothing. So these are self-soothing techniques. There are 5. You can imagine a peaceful scene. If you can't imagine a peaceful scene, focus on something in the room. Okay, I will show you a video that you can scan later on that shows you how to do this lah. Okay, we engage in our 5 senses. So we see or imagine, we hear, we listen to the surrounding, listen for some soothing sounds or favorite music. Like I said, when you came in, I had my own playlist of kind of very positive, chill music to help me to put myself in the mood. Slow paced breathing, so nose, then taste. We may need to ground ourselves using sense of taste. So we may actually take sweets. I do carry sweets in my bag. Sometimes outside we say you really don't have lick your hand. I'm not kidding. If I'm out in the field, because I told you I work in the jungle and things like that, if I don't have food with me, then how? I will find something. Okay? But for me, I carry some essential oils in my bag. I do carry sweets in my bag. So these are little things that I use. Touch, you can find something that comforts you. I have patients, I taught them, if you like something they're very kinetic people, that means the sense of touch, they carry a little back charm and they will play with the back charm. It could be a jewelry that you play with, also a pendant. So some patients I say bracelet, pendant, they play and fiddle with that. Okay? Then another technique is called the box breathing. So the box breathing is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds. So what we mean by 4 seconds is 1, 1,000, 2, 2,000, 3, 3,000, right? But some people cannot hold that long, so you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So this is called box breathing. It's very useful for people who are anxious. So this is one type of breathing. So remember, in 4, hold 4, out 4, hold 4. Okay? This one very useful. My Cambodian trainees love this. When I ask them, out of the 5 days, what do you benefit the most? They will show me this one. I talk so much for 5 days, you're like this. I say, fine. I will show you the video. You can practice this along, but this is the QR code for this video, so you can keep it, okay?
I recently learned this sweet, quick, little, really effective technique for calming yourself down when you start to feel flustered or anxious. You've got that sympathetic nervous system kicking in, that fight or flight response. This is a great thing to do, and this is so wonderful for both children and adults, because in addition to breathing, and deep breathing always helps calm the body, you have a visual and a tactile component. So it really pulls your focus and brings you into the moment. It's called Take 5 breathing. And what you'll do is you'll trace your hand. You put your hand out like this and you're tracing it. And as you do that, you'll be breathing in through the nose as you go up your finger, out through the mouth, as you go down. So it's in through the nose, you get to the top, you pause, and you exhale down. Do it with me. Let's start at the base of the thumb. Breathe in through the nose, nice and deep. And out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose as you go up. Out through the mouth. slide down. In through the nose, pause, out through the mouth. In and out. Last one. In and out. How are you feeling? Did this make a difference for you? It really does for me. And you may need to do it more than once, but what a great little trick, right? If you like it, subscribe. And
So as you can see, it's very simple and you don't need to remember that much. It works very well, especially when you demonstrate it with a kid, okay? The next one is one of my favorites, grounding technique. Grounding means, like the word say, you plant your feet, you ground yourself, that's how we feel stable. So if I'm very emotional and flustered, I use grounding techniques to calm myself. So we do that a lot with our patients when I'm anxious. So this one is called the butterfly hug method. Some of you who are K-drama fans, it's from this K-drama, It's Okay Not to Be Okay. They actually demonstrated this, but in the wrong way. You don't tap people on the back. I was like, no. Okay, but it's a method that is known and we do use it in our training, in our therapy. I do it when the person is very what we call activated. That means they're all flustered, they're all anxious, or if somebody, like especially if a kid fell down or have a very traumatic event, I actually get them to tap and tell me when they're doing it. So the tapping is, so this is the QR code for that. I think I have a little video, but I'm mindful of the time. So I will not play the video, but I want you all to go back and watch it on your own time. Practice on your own, okay? She demonstrated very well. Yeah, I find it easier to just let you all scan the video, then you all can keep all the videos and use it. For me, when I use it in Cambodia, because I can change it to translate to Cambodian Khmer language. So then I also take a break from talking. Okay, so this is the butterfly hug method. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay. This is the other one on the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I can see that it's worked, I can hear it. So. Okay. So these are the 3 techniques I recommend for grounding. There are more, but these are the very easy ones that I think people can pick up without a therapist guiding them. And it's in a way you can practice on your own, so you can use it for when your loved ones are very anxious or very agitated and they are very flustered. You need to help calm them down. Or you can practice for yourself. I recommend practicing for yourself daily, because I think don't wait until you're stressed, then you do it. I prefer to do it like stress inoculation, like vaccination, do it now. When you practice it regularly, then when you need it, it comes naturally. Because if you don't practice it regularly, when you kanchiong, everything goes out the window. Okay? So I leave it for you all to scan. With that's the end of my section. So I have time for 10 minutes of question before I break you all for toilet, because the toilet is limited, so I need to let you all have time to go and use it. So yes. Any questions, any comments, anything you want